Good day to everyone, and welcome to my presentation on the benefits of using authentic assessment in the early childhood classroom. My name is Leanna Campbell, and I am a second-year student at the UWI Open Campus St. Vincent, pursuing my bachelor's in early childhood education. So let's get directly into it. First off, what is authentic assessment? Authentic assessment is basically testing a child's ability to perform a task, construct objects, and apply what they've learned in the classroom to real-life situations. Authentic assessment focuses on the child, their learning style, the learning process, and finally their ability to reconstruct what they've learned or launch an open discussion about a particular subject. Now that we have a basic understanding of what is authentic assessment, let's get into why authentic assessment should be the preferred form of assessment versus traditional assessment in the early childhood classroom. Traditional assessment is basically teaching a child something and then testing whether or not they remembered it by using multiple choice or a quiz, for example. The first benefit, or rather the first reason why authentic assessment should be used in the early childhood classroom is that authentic assessment focuses on the child's ability to perform a task rather than simply them having the knowledge on how to do it. For example, if you place an additions chart on the board and you go through it with the children, eventually they will be able to recite it by themselves. And if you quiz them, they might be able to give you the correct answer from memory. But does this mean that they've grasped the concept of addition? And if you gave them 2 apples and a banana, would they be able to recognize that they have 3 pieces of fruit? This is why authentic assessment is beneficial. The teacher can use blocks, bottle caps, Play-Doh, or even a song to demonstrate addition. The children can become involved in the lesson by adding objects together and getting the answer. They can realize that 1 plus 3 is 4, but 2 plus 2 is also 4. They are exposed to the fact that different methods can yield the same answer at an early age. Authentic assessment also makes it possible for reinforcement to be done at home because parents can use a variety of materials to go through what the children would have learned at school earlier that day. And children gain some higher order thinking skills such as application, etc. Another reason why authentic assessment should be used in the early childhood classroom is by involving the child in the learning process, the lessons become more time intensive and the teacher can adjust the process to ensure that in the end, the child can perform the task at hand and the performance meets the criteria. For example, you could tell a child how to grow a peas tree. Simply plant the peas, water it, and expose it to sunlight. But if that child takes that instruction, that specific instruction, and apply it to real life, would the peas tree grow? Most likely not. They may water it once and leave it out in the sun all day, and that will cause the pea to die and wither. Authentic assessment would look at the child and his or her ability to understand that the pea needs water every day, and their ability to observe and ask key questions and note the process it takes to grow a peas tree. Finally, authentic assessment should be used in the early childhood classroom versus a traditional assessment because traditional assessment is based on what the teachers select to instruct on from the curriculum. There is usually only one right answer. The content taught is very specific and the time spent on the topic is predetermined before the lesson even begins. And the lesson is usually taught in a unimodal form. Authentic assessment is based on what the child wants to learn while still keeping in the construct of the curriculum. The lesson isn't finished until the child masters the task at hand, so time can never be predetermined before the lesson has even begun. Testing their understanding at different stages means there's more than one correct answer that can be used. The content taught can be utilized by different disciplines, and since this child is the main focus, lessons are taught in a multimodal form. It is my personal opinion that authentic assessment is the ideal form of assessment that should be used in the early childhood classroom. Children are now developing their learning styles, and a famous quote I remember is, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life thinking that it is stupid. Traditional assessment, although it's deemed fair and unbiased and valid and reliable, it fails to be individualized to each child's learning style, and it fails to teach children how to actually perform tasks, and instead it just teaches them how to know the task. Authentic assessment provides an alternative route to this problem. In conclusion, the benefit of using authentic assessment rather than traditional assessment in the early childhood classroom is that the children can correlate what happens in the classroom to real life situations. Authentic assessment focuses on the child and their learning processes. Children can gain higher order thinking skills. Children can easily integrate the different disciplines that they learn in the classroom. An authentic assessment methodology involves a child's learning, applying and evaluating what they've learned. Thank you for taking the time to look at my video. Enjoy the rest of your day.